First item is roll call. Director Creel,
Present.
Director Parrott,
Present.
Director Shelby,
Present.
Director Robinson,
Here.
and I'm Director Rowland, and I am present. I would love to welcome everybody. So we go on to communications and celebration.
At the elementary, a couple of things to communicate. We had a group of teachers participate in a
It's like Rush Limbaugh is talking.
in a training focused around strategies to help our English language learners. We had one third grade class that went from 41% of students meeting benchmark in the fall to 76% of students meeting benchmark in the winter on our reading fluency fast screener. Our elementary induction and instructional coaches and I, we attended the North Central Coaching Consortium meeting, and we just continue to really focus on how to engage our teachers in coaching cycles to help them improve their practice and be more reflective, which in turn will help our students. And then communication, we have the preschool registration going on the week of March 22nd. And Monday, Wednesday, and Friday that week, you can come in if you have a student that will be four years old before the 15th of September. Come in and get them registered anytime between the school day. On Tuesday and Thursday that week, you can come in from 1:30 to 7:30 at night. We'll have some extended hours. That's when we have our parent-teacher conferences anyway. So we'll have interpreters available, and should hopefully get everybody registered and ready to go.
Thank you.
At the middle school, on the 24th of February, we had our annual Aaron Iverts Day. As I mentioned last time, we did shorten it. It was just an afternoon, 2 hours this year, just because of COVID and restrictions on who could come in and what could be done. And we kind of have a more local focus on some of the projects that we did. Didn't have any of the big things that we've done in the past, but I still thought it was a good day, and the kids were great. We had a lot of positive things come out of that. We have our conferences starting tomorrow. We have Tuesday and Thursday conferences from 4 to 8. They're going to be virtual again. Parents get to choose whether they want to have it by phone or by Google Meets, and Josh Shield has done a lot of work trying to get this all set up for us so parents could sign up online, and we've got our employability rubric that's ready to go, and hopefully we're shooting to try to get 95% of our have a 95% attendance on that, so we'll see how we do. On March 18th, we're going to have a second trimester Pbis reward. And in the past, we've always gone somewhere. Usually we'll go over to Fuller Hall or go someplace and reward the kids. Well, because we can't travel, we're doing something different. And we're going to play a big, massive game of bingo, where I'm going to be running a bingo game over Google Meets. And we're going to buy a bunch of prizes and play bingo. And when kids get the bingo, they're going to come running down the hall and they'll get to pick their prize out from our selection. And I actually saw Steve Haberman do this over at Clarion, and I just thought it was really, really fun. So we thought we would try that this year with some of our restrictions again. We had a concert last week. It was really nice just having some normalcy to the year and having some music. We did it actually in two concerts. We had a 5-6 concert at 6 o'clock and a 7-8 concert at 7 o'clock. With the bands at 5 and 6 or 6 o'clock, and then we had the band and the chorus at 7 o'clock. And I thought it went very, very well. Alana Alt, who is our instructional coach for 5-6, took a group of our teachers, mainly teachers that are working on reading, and really spent some time with them trying to improve our intervention system. I think that elementary has a lot better handle on this than we do, and so we're going to look for some of their advice on how to how to set up interventions, and teachers were very positive about it. I have listed there what we're gonna do coming up for PD. Tomorrow, the teachers get the 2 hours to get ready for conferences. On Thursday, there's gonna be a training on bullying, the state put out. March 23rd, when the elementary and high school have conferences, we're gonna do standards-based grading and touch on that again. And then on the 25th, Angela Westlake's gonna come in and speak on the importance of what one person can do in the life of a kid to make a difference. And on the 23rd of March, we're gonna have our second trimester awards assembly. So getting hot and heavy here now, and it's kind of nice that it's nice outside.
Thank you.
So at the high school, last week we kicked off our new EGLE study hall. And so this study hall is responsive to the choices that students make and the support that they need. There's 3 tiers to it. So the Golden Eagle is tier 1, and this is the area where students have no failures, and they have the majority of their assignments in. They can have like 1 or 2 out. And then this is one where they kind of get to choose what they want to do, whether they need a brain break so they play volleyball in the gym, or whether they want to study with friends, or they want to study by themselves. So that space is just a little bit more flexible. And then the Bald Eagle study hall is where students have missing assignments, but they're passing their classes. So that's more of your traditional study hall where you've got a group of kids and teachers just kind of supervising, making sure it's a quiet space and that they're doing their work. And then the last one is the Harpy Eagle. And this is where students are failing 1 or more classes. Oftentimes students in this group might struggle with like prioritizing or organizing. Sometimes they struggle with even advocating. So teachers are coaching them on how to advocate, how to initiate conversations with other teachers. This is a pretty small group. It's about a 4 kids to 1 adult ratio. Right now we have it set up where there's 2 adults in the room, so there's about 6 to 8 kids in there. So that way there's some flexibility to help the students. The nice thing about this is it's going to respond to how the students do. So every 2 weeks it gets reset. So right now they're in a certain location, they stay there and they have that level of support. And then Friday, I pull the data again, see where everybody's at and reset them. So starting Tuesday next week, they will be wherever their current choices have got them to. So, so far it's going really well. I think it allows the kids to get the kind of help that they need at that time and the teachers to be able to provide it. So it's been really good as Mr. Thacker and I run around the whole time checking on everybody and also supporting them if they need it, and it looks really good. So there was pictures on Facebook a couple days ago about it, so we saw that. Prom is Diamonds Are Forever. It'll be May 1st at the high school. The dance will be 8 p.m. to 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. midnight, whatever. The doors will open about 7:30. There will be no grand march this year due to the difficulty of social distancing. And then just a reminder for students that once they enter, they cannot leave. If they do, they can't come back. Masks will be required just as they are at school. Parent-teacher conferences for the high school are the 23rd and the 25th, 4 to 8 p.m. Encourage parents to watch Facebook and email this week. Well, towards the end of this week, we'll send out a link that Josh also helps us with. So that way they can sign up for when they want to talk to certain teachers. It'll be a phone call from the high school. We actually get to do spring sports this year, so that's pretty fantastic. And then also, not too far away, we blink and it's here, graduation. So right now we got commencement scheduled for the afternoon of Sunday, March 23rd. So more details will come out as we get closer to that.
Thank you. Next item is public comment cards, which we have now. So the next item is conflict of interest. didn't look, but I'm sure I have one.
I don't think you did.
I don't remember seeing one either.
Who knows? So no one has a conflict of interest, we will move on. Approval of the proposed agenda.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and second to approve the proposed agenda. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Item number 8, the consent items.
One thing to point out is if you look at the contracts, we have a contract for a middle school principal, Charles Mauser, page 17. We interviewed a couple weeks ago and offered a position to him, and he all accept pending board approval.
Make a motion. For
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve the consent items. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 9, confirm costing for 21-22 teachers' contracts and approve the employee handbook.
Teacher's contract, we're in the third year, for next year, it'll be the third year of a 3-year contract. We agreed on 2.75% increase when we negotiated the contract. That is equals to about $750 on both the base and supplemental base. Neither of us are looking to change anything in the employee handbook. What we did with the employee handbook is we simply moved the contract over to the employee handbook. It's worked well for us for years, and I didn't see any reason messing with it. So I would recommend you approve both of those. And then we will issue contracts March 15th as soon as we get.
Make a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and second to confirm the costing and approve the handbook. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next item, EGESA contract and employee handbook.
So you have a supplemental to that here. We met with them, John and Tracy were there, we came to an agreement. One of the issues that kind of held up what we did is we want to raise the base. We're losing employees to other businesses and other school districts because our base is too low. And one reason that our base is low is because we have a bunch of steps, and a lot of places don't have steps, and the steps are eating up all of your money each year when they or when you put new money into it, it goes all of the steps. So we have shrunk the steps from 18 cents to 10 cents and increased the base. On a 3-year plan, our goal is to get to $15 in 3 years. In doing so, if you had been here more than 11 years, so you're hitting step 12, because the steps shrunk this way, you started either getting no raise or a very minimal raise. When they met with their group, they would like everybody to get a raise, and how I have it set up is I wouldn't have anybody lose any money, and then in step year 2, it would catch up. And they asked if I could make sure everybody gets a 10-cent raise on step 1, and then the second year when they normally would have got a 32-cent raise, it's a 22-cent raise. So from a money standpoint, it's a wash, and I'm okay with that. Our goal still is if we can improve our base, we might get more people applying for it. We might be able to keep employees from jumping to other places. So with that retention, and that's everything we're working for right now is retention. It's getting harder and harder to hire in education. So if we can do things to retain good employees, we want to do that, and hire good employees. So John and Tracy worked with me on that. If nobody has any questions, my recommendation would be to approve that.
Make a motion to accept the contract and employee handbook for the EGESA.
Second.
Been moved and second to approve the contract for EGESA and the employee handbook. Any questions or discussion? Part of the reason why we have gone to multi-year contracts is because that allows us to make these decisions over time. If we were on a 1-year contract, then we couldn't make this adjustment because, you know, then it would not be too costly. But as we do it over time, that allows us to spread that over 3 years, and it gets where we were going anyway. It's just different methodology to do that with. And that's why we really like multi-year contracts, because it allows us to plan out a little farther and make things work out like we would like it to. So that's part of the rationale behind why you're going to see us do the multi-year thing, is because it makes sense. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 11, non-bargaining contracts for 21-22.
Non-bargaining contracts, that includes administrators, bus drivers, secretaries, office managers, cooks. One change in the structure is with our cook. We've always had 2 head cooks / food service directors. With Mo's retirement, we will go to 1 on that, and I'm moving it to a salary position. Angie puts in a ton of time, so when you take her salary and her hourly rate, her and I worked it out and came to a conclusion on what that would be. She's also been in charge of our 7 food program. So that's a change there. We have the new wage in for the middle school principal. We're also working on retention of administrators on there and a technology change. Being I'm 1 on there, I will not make a recommendation on this, but I will answer questions.
Do you want to make any comments as to why we are doing the administrator?
The administration
Thank you.
retention, a lot of our meetings we've went to, it's getting harder and harder to get administrators and to keep them there. You become a stepping stone with them. The idea that, and it's not just us, multiple schools have thrown it out there, is can you put out something there that's a retention bonus that keeps you from either jumping to the next size or jumping to the next district? What we have done is through a TSA, and I've had a TSA for a while, but when you do it through a TSA, it's cheaper for the school district, and it's money that grows as you go along. So if somebody comes with an offer and says, I'll pay you $10,000 more, you know that you have a retirement account that sits there. By doing so, with additional years that you stay, your TSA grows. We cap it at 10% in hopes to retain administrators. So.
Do we have a motion to approve the non-bargaining contract?
So moved.
Second.
Ben moved and second to approve the non-bargaining contracts. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 12, purchases over 25,000.
None.
Good job.
Give me time. A lot of money coming in there, so.
Item number 13, budget estimate and set a date for the public hearing.
Okay, Teresa, you can help me out with this. We have put together our budget. In short, our tax rate's going to drop if everything stays the same, but it should be right around $1.44 to $1.45. The reason for this drop is we paid off our elementary school early, so we have bonding capacity if we need to do something to accommodate for growth. Last year, we did not tax management as much as we need, and if you look at your books, you'll see your management drop a little bit in there, but we have a healthy amount. This will allow us to go back and do that to change our instructional support. So Tracy, you have to tell me the levy. Income surtax, we were able to drop to 1% and then still drop the taxes by 1.44. That is a good move. As your cash gets up, it may go down a little bit more. At some point, you're going to have a building project, and hopefully you can say you can see where your taxes have went down, and now we're going to start asking so we can raise that back up for a building project. This was anticipated. We knew it was coming. That's Last year we had a little increase, so we could pay that down, so it's starting to open our bonding capacity, so we can react with that when we want to. Did I miss anything with that?
No, by paying the bond off, we've saved over 40,000 in interest.
That's awesome.
And I guess we have to set a public hearing for it, don't we?
Yes, April 12th.
So I need to set a motion to set that.
That's the next board meeting.
Yes.
I'll make the motion to approve the budget estimate and set the public hearing for April 12th.
Been moved and second to approve the budget estimate and set the public hearing date as April 12th. Are there any questions or discussion?
Teresa, clarify one thing for me. With all the ESSER money or the new federal money that's coming in, when we set this, we don't know what we're gonna spend. And so if we get another $2 million, we're gonna overspend our budget if we do a big ticket item, and then we have to go back and amend it. And it kind of happened this year because we got really in the end about 900,000 we weren't expecting. And so at some point when we do our books, we're gonna have to go back and amend the budget because we didn't have that coming in and we don't have it going out. And we will do that probably for the next 3 years, just depending on what rate we spend it and how much we actually get.
Right.
So.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 14, 2021 school calendar.
You have on page 65, the school calendar. It is very similar to this year. 4 days of PD before, one where you bring in the new teachers. This year we did, I'm gonna call it spring break, but it's a comp day and a day off, and we did it with state wrestling. It really was poor this year because it was so cold. We missed all the school days before. We came to school, we got our shots, and then we had 2 days off. That brought some discussion, but the reason we put it there is we had a lot of staff members and families that like to go down on Friday to wrestling. So we took the Friday off as soon as because we used to have, they take personal days, so we couldn't get sub coverage. So we took the Friday off and everybody started taking personal days on Thursday because then they could use their one personal day. So that's kind of where that stemmed from. We surveyed the staff. It was very close, but it won 2-1 to, instead of adding it to Easter, to go back and do that. So we're gonna do that again, where we'll take the Thursday, Friday off in February. Hopefully it's not negative 28 degrees that week. We will not, as of now, you can't make up can't make up snow days with virtual days. They don't count. I've seen legislation where they might limit it to 5. I've not seen anywhere where that's passed yet. So unless they give us some guidance differently, our assumption would be that any snow days we miss, we'll have to make up at least to make sure we got our hours in. Parent-teachers conferences, if you've noticed the last few years, we do 2 schools on one week, and then the next week we only do 1 school. That's for interpreters. What we found is we can't have the middle school and the high school at the same time. You can have the middle school and elementary. You can have the elementary and the high school, or the middle school and high school. But if you put the middle school and the elementary at the same time, we do not have enough interpreters. So that's why we spread it out and do the PD that way.
Do we have a motion to approve the calendar?
So moved.
It's been moved and second to approve the calendar. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 15, Administration Buildings Phase 1 Project Change Orders.
So change order number 6, I denied. When we get ready to go, we're gonna put cameras upstairs. So kind of some of the drops, because our technology is involved, we didn't need as many drops, so we eliminated 6 drops and they credited us for $350. And then we went back to add 2 drops and they wanted $900. We just said, we will do it ourselves. So we did not do that, and you do not need to act on that. But if you ever follow the numbers, you'll wonder why there's not a number 6. And the number 6, I denied that. Number 7, we need to do, I guess you'd have to look in my office. There is, where the clocks used to sit, there's just big holes in the wall. And so depending on, some are smaller, and the smaller ones we can put plates on. Some are larger, and you've actually got to go back and do masonry work on them. And so that is to fill in those and existing duct work with block, so it all flows. So that's just masonry work, and I would recommend you approve that.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the change order for administration building. Are there any questions or discussion?
How are they coming timeline wise?
We should be done by May. So there was a steel order that was delayed, which is part of the heating system, that they've been able to do other work. That's kind of what they're waiting for, and hopefully they get that. At some point, we're gonna have to shut down our offices for the afternoon or the next day, because where the doors are, they've got to do masonry work to seal that in. But, yeah, maybe the last meeting we had, which was last Thursday, they thought by the end of May we'll be done.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 16, board member reports.
Is there still, well, I mean, not still, but Dollars for Scholars, senior edition night, is that still on?
So I have my list here, and I did not put on that. I'm going to say that's still gonna be pretty hard to have, because you got everybody in an auditorium sitting right beside each other.
Okay.
On my, just from my notes, I have that we will try to have prom, because we got the kids together, but they're together every day during PE class, you know, and we're gonna do an after prom, so we can do that. We're gonna have graduation. We may look to do it outdoors, because it was nice to do it outdoors last time, but even if we move it in the gym, we can spread it out a little bit. I'm guessing we will limit some attendance to that. It doesn't have to be as tight as the last time, but just to make sure that people can spread out, especially if we have to move it to the gym. We're not doing the grand march because everybody sits right on top of each other when you bring the kids through. My guess is awards night's gonna be very similar to that, don't you? Unless you just limit to, well, you haven't been here for an awards night.
Yeah, I haven't seen one, so.
Or do it in the
You've been
gym,
there.
or do it in the gym?
We'll work on it. Yeah.
We had a
You can
meeting and I
do it
wanted to
in the
ask on
gym.
that,
You can spread it out. You know, if you do it, it depends on if you're gonna be set up for graduation too. You know, if you're doing it outside, you might not be set up. The stage and stuff might be
Right.
outside.
Yep.
Jess, I thought we counted, you could get, was it 60 families? If, like, when we did sports, I thought it was like 60 families with two, a pair
In the gym,
in the gym.
yeah.
Well, if our graduating class is like 55. So you, in theory, could probably,
You just set up a stage on one end and put the kids in the middle, because they're used to sitting by each other.
yeah, they
So-
share drinks when they're not supposed to.
Yeah, I
too,
know,
so-
that's why they keep getting picked out, but,
Uh-huh.
we'll look at that. That's one thing I didn't have on my list, so.
But now when you're doing athletic events, you were actually counting the other side for the other schools, so you might even be more than the 60.
No, because when I did graduation in there, I think I could get 58 sets of parents on the stage. So I think that 60 number is pretty accurate. I think that's when,
All the whole area.
yeah, when you social distance
Yeah,
with masks.
that's why we had to clean out between.
Between
lanes.
games.
Yeah.
When you try to put 6 feet between them, it eats up
Yeah.
your space. and everything.
6 feet in a diameter, all the way around.
So then are we gonna do for board members? Last year was one.
On the stage,
We should be fine.
we'll talk about, I'll see what Sandy says on that. Because you're still you have to be within 6 feet. There's no way to spread them out.
Well, just so the board.
If you're outside, you're fine. If outside, you don't even have to wear the mask. We recommend it, but you don't have to wear a mask outside. Inside, I would guess that because we all go to different houses, they're gonna want more space.
Mr. Derry gets some.
Darren was a trooper last year. It was hot. So Heidi has requested she be on the stage. She wanted to be on the stage this year, so we will find a way for her to get on the stage. We'll work out those details.
Anything else from board members? Superintendent's reports.
Okay, James R. Johnson Trust gave $7,000 to the Boys and Girls Camp. That's $3,500 each, so they can use it to enhance their programs and to go to camp. I just wanted to make sure I gave them recognition here. It's very much appreciated. They've done a lot of good stuff for the community. I've asked the coaches to get in contact with them too and do something to thank them for that with the teams as well. ESSER and CARES money. So at 4:45 today, they released how we can spend the ESSER 2 funds. And it's about an 8-page document, and I glanced over it a little bit. The first one was pretty wide open, and they keep kind of ratcheting it down. I still think we'll be okay to be able to do what we want. In ESSER 2, we got $758,000. We have 3 years to spend that, and some of it has to be to get ready for the school year, to improve education, to catch kids up, to do all of that stuff. Now that the new stimulus is coming out, they estimated today that we will get 2.5 times that amount in the next one. So I figured that at $1.8 to $1.9 million on top of the $758,000. There are even more limitations on how you can spend that. We do not have the guidance because that has not passed yet, but a few things that we will look at, and I'll work with my principals on it, is we know that we have a gap from missing a third of the school year. To accommodate that, we probably will look to do some interventionists in buildings. You have to spend 20% on it. If we hire interventionists for each building they don't even know this yet, over a 3-year period, that puts you at about $320,000. Then offer your summer school, you can get to that $360,000 limit. So we probably will be looking at those. One of the big things is ventilation. I'm exploring what we're doing here is all ventilation. We had a heating system in it. If you remember when we put the heating system in, if I can pay for our ventilation upgrades here, that's going to free up some other money that we might be able to do some stuff from the Pebble silo accounts with. We need to update buses. We're using a lot more buses because we got half capacity in our buses. All of that together, you might get to $500,000, $1 million, and then we still got the extra. So the key is going to be how long you have to spend it and what we can do to spend it and spend it wisely. So it's going to be a challenge, and it's a good problem to have, but I think you're going to get a windfall here within the next 3 months, and you're going to have 3 years to figure out how to spend it.
So if you don't spend it all though, is it?
You don't get it. You get the authority for it.
Okay,
So you don't get it unless you spend it.
okay.
And so you've got to spending money is not a problem.
Right.
Spending money that fits the criteria is a
criteria.
problem. Because if you go out and do something that doesn't fit the criteria, the example, and John and I talked about this, the state went and they put in a new payroll system, and then the feds came back and said, you can't pay that with extra money. Well, then the state had to come up with other money to pay it. So if I go out and I buy something big for $200,000 and they don't approve it, I'm gonna have a pot of $200,000 to pay. So you've got to be very careful on what you're gonna spend the money on to make sure that it works for that. It's based on your title allocation, and when you have poverty, you have a higher title allocation. So that's where we fit into it.
The reality is that you would like to have pre-approval before you do something, because in the state's case, it killed them. It was happened to be in the division my brother is in, and they got no money now because they spent all this money on this payroll system, and they have to use their money to do it instead of this extra money. So it really is, it was a big mistake, and we have to be careful not to make the same kind of mistake. So I'm not positive that you can get pre-approval, but the more guidance we get
Right.
that says this is where it fits, the better the chance.
Will some of that ventilation system money be able to be used for the high school renovation?
I looked into it. The cost is too great for your renovation. Now, if you can work it into a 3-year plan, possibly. I'll tell you where my biggest issue right now, which is money that's hard to spend. Our track is aged. I put a Band-Aid on it about 5 or 6 years ago, if you remember. it's aged and they're expensive. And to put it into a track, you don't always get the bang for your buck, but it's a necessity. That's, those are the things you look at. Buses, what can we do to update our bus and vehicle fleet in a financially responsible way? But you also got one shot to do it, and you gotta make sure it passes their requirements. So, any things that you do to save that, yes, we'll save money for other projects that sit outside of it. So. Any questions on that? And the state still, they said they will get between 1.8 billion and 2.1 billion. Well, that's still 300 million, so that's gonna depend on how much money we get too. So until they actually decide what the allocation is, then we'll have to wait for it. One of the things, this is a political statement, but one of the things, Waukee complained because they get about the same amount of money as we do on how the formula was. I never hear them complain when they have bonding authority to put up a $8 million football field. So sometimes life isn't fair. That's just my political statement on it. We are busy in hiring right now. We have a middle school principal. We are working on math right now. Shared transportation director, Dwight is retiring. Clarion is in charge of that. Juvenile court liaison, we are in charge of that. We hold the contract. Hopefully all of those will be filled by the end of, or by next month's meeting. Mask, if you saw the CDC guidance today, it said, if everybody is vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. Our students will not be vaccinated by the end of the school year. You have no knowledge of who's been vaccinated or who hasn't. So unless we're all gonna wear a pin of who's been vaccinated, I would plan on wearing, we will wear a face mask through the end of the school. We will reevaluate it next year when we come back. It kind of just depends on where the kids are and what the vaccination plan is and how we are as a country at that point. We plan on graduation, we plan on track meets, we plan on prom, we plan on after prom. Anything that you can do outdoors is better than indoors, and anything you do outdoors, you've got a lot more freedom to have people come and to have more space and to wear masks or not wear masks. Our goal is to have as many normal activities as possible with that. I think we can have preschool graduation. We just have to make sure we get people spread out and do that properly. The other thing I have is we are looking at online registration again. Last year we did a portion of online registration. As a parent, I was not happy with how, I still had to fill out all the forms. The difference was I could print off the form and then I had to handwrite it. There is a deluxe model. The deluxe model allows you to, well, we think so, we're looking into it, but the deluxe model keeps your information and allows you to just update, which would be a lot easier, and should allow us to do free and reduced lunch online. The cost of that is about $11,000 compared to $1,000. We're gonna do it this year. One, you can use ESSER money for it because it's not putting people together, and we should be able to do that for 3 years. Second thing is we took a hit on our free and reduced lunch because once we went to free lunch for every kid in the elementary, there was no incentive to fill out the paperwork. And we got rid of the fees. Now the fees we have to talk about if we're gonna bring those back or not. My recommendation is we almost have to, because that's what's filling out your forms, which is also generating our ESSER money. So if you don't have the forms and your free and reduced drops, it's dropping your other funding sources. So we will go to online. Hopefully we can get those forms in so people qualify for the free and reduced so we get an accurate number on it so we get accurate funding compared to it. So does anybody have any questions for me? Super busy here right now. Probably be that way for a while.
One quick question for everybody here. By April 12th, how many will have 2 shots?
I've already got 2.
I already got mine too.
I will by then, so.
I'm too far down the totem pole to even worry about it.
You're a bank examiner.
I don't think it's
Working
gonna
from home.
work. Yeah.
Well, and there's stipulation, even like when we do it at school, somebody that got a booster shot and they won't let them take it. So it kind of depends on what your own medical history is.
Yeah,
and
I'm
what
just
way you
curious
take it, what you
because-
can't take.
Most of the school people are gonna get vaccinated at some point.
We vaccinated
And if they don't-
130 people, and that included bus drivers and some Iowa Central people. So
I'm old, that's why I did. So we'll wear a mask.
yeah, we'll wear masks for the rest of the year.
Well, if we were all vaccinated, we wouldn't have to. Any other questions from Dick? Our favorite motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.